Federal Parliament started its final sitting week for the year in Canberra today. Families and businesses around the country continue to suffer from record electricity prices. And we showed you that report last week warning that prices will continue to rise for at least the next decade. But the government's climate and energy minister wasn't there in Parliament. No, Mr Bowen hasn't made it back from Brazil yet, where he attended COP30, the latest United Nations global warming talkfest. And while he botched Australia's bid to host next year's COP, a fumble that's good for the country, mind you, because it'll save taxpayers up to $2 billion, but Bowen did manage to snaffle a nice little side gig for himself. Turkey will host the conference, but Bowen will be COP president for negotiations.
Will Turkey also appoint a COP president for the rest of it?
So Turkey would be the COP president for the purposes of that. I would be the COP president for the purposes of the negotiations, working to ensure good outcomes. Last question.
Last question? I don't think so, mate. I've got plenty more. Like, aren't you the last person in the world who should be trying to tell other countries how to manage their climate and energy affairs? And why have you broken your promise to cut power bills by $275 a year? Why do you persist with the lie that renewable energy is the cheapest form of energy when the lived experience everywhere shows this is not the case? Anyway, the opposition has plenty of questions on energy and they put them to the Prime Minister today, who talked about everything except power prices.
One is the consistent position that those opposite have of talking Australia down. Always talking Australia down. Including,
on my left.
including talking down Australia's national interests and the interests of the Pacific.
Oh, yes, but of course the facts support the coalition's arguments here, and they stayed on task.
Prime Minister, there are less than 5 weeks left in 2025. When will Australian families receive your promised $275 reduction to their power bills?
Well, that's the $275 question, and the government had no answer. So the Prime Minister hand-passed this one to his Treasurer.
The upward pressure on electricity prices in our energy grid, Mr Speaker, doesn't come from the new, cleaner, cheaper, renewable, reliable energy. It comes from the legacy of 22 failed energy policies, which saw 4 gigawatts of energy come out of the grid. Now, if they cared about energy prices, Mr Speaker, they wouldn't be abandoning net zero and they wouldn't be turning their back on renewable energy.
Now, this is spin, of course, spin that defies facts. The push to renewables has pushed prices up, and it will continue to do so, as we saw in that report last week. Labor can spin all it likes, but the reality's there every quarter in the power bills that we get and in the ongoing shambles of our energy grid build-out.
Prime Minister, I refer to warnings in the recent Australian Energy Council report in which a CEO of an energy company said, and I quote, "Bills will increase for the next decade." Prime Minister, why is the part-time energy minister, full-time president, more concerned with the next decade of COP negotiations than he is with the next decade of power bills for Australian households and businesses?
So those opposite, in arguing to abandon net zero, are arguing for even higher power prices. They are smashing investor confidence and investor certainty, and they would be weakening our economy as a consequence, Mr Speaker. And for what? Just so they can win this unedifying race to the far right in their own party room.
Yeah, good luck with that one, pretending it's all about politics when electricity is the lifeblood of our economy, when cheap energy is what's undermined all of our development and prosperity over the last century. No political attack or spin can solve this problem for Labor. Only cheap and reliable power can do that, and their current plans just won't deliver that. While Albanese, Bowen and Chalmers pretend their pro-renewables and anti-nuclear stance is the way forward, in his new role, Bowen won't be able to avoid the fact that nuclear is seen as the key technology globally. The latest country to announce a massive expansion is India, with 10 new reactors approved. The new push for nuclear as the carbon-free energy source has been reported as an audacious bet on nuclear power, aiming to tackle climate change while meeting the surging electricity demands of a growing economy. The Indian government wants to ramp up nuclear capacity to 100 gigawatts, just for starters. That's almost twice the total generating capacity of Australia's national electricity market, even on a day when the sun is shining and all the wind is blowing everywhere. It's pretty clear Labor is in denial. Being pro-net zero and anti-nuclear is a nonsensical position. While net zero will probably never happen, and certainly not by 2050, there's absolutely no chance it will ever happen without massive amounts of nuclear energy. That's why this is precisely the right argument for the opposition to be having. Sure, the opinion polls are still abysmal for the coalition, but all this will take a while. It's crucial for the future of our country. And when the energy debate gets real, well, Labor then and their Greens and Teals mates, well, they're going to be in real strife then.